Whether you're a returning Mistweaver monk that watches all my videos, or someone who is thinking about leveling their first Mistweaver monk through MoP Remix, my name's Ninja7 and this is the video for you because I'm going to talk about everything that I learned leveling a Mistweaver monk, which I already have one, but this is going to be my second Mistweaver monk through MoP Remix, all of my tips and tricks that I picked up along the way, as well as my thoughts on doing so. So before we start with any of my tips and tricks, I just want to say if you were considering doing this, absolutely do it. This was the most enjoyable time playing World of Warcraft that I've ever had, and I think it was because I was playing Mistweaver Monk in MoP Remix. Something about going back in time and playing Mistweaver when it kind of was originally in the game or put in the game just felt nice, like being surrounded by Pandarans and Chin and the Storm Stouts. It felt amazing and was very immersive. I highly recommend it. So much fun. But now let's go and get into the actual meat and potatoes of this video, and let's get things off with power spikes. So one of the most fun things about doing this journey or leveling to 70 as a Mistweaver monk is just how insane some of your early level power spikes are. So as you know, you start out at level 10 in MoP Remix, which means that you're very limited as far as your talents go, but you do gain Tiger's Lust and you do start out with Roll. So that is already a ton of mobility in your kit. You can just zoom around, quest very quickly, keep up in dungeons very easily. But one thing that's very slept on, I'm kind of blocking it here, but spinning Crane Kick is absolutely absurd at those early levels, regardless of what content you're doing. Maybe not raids, but by the time you get to raids or unlock raids, you don't really need this anymore. But this can just crank through questing and also dungeons, and you will out DPS every DPS player in your key, unless you get some frog farmers or something stupid in your group. Spinning Crane Kick is absurd, and all the mobility is absolutely insane. But as you start gaining those levels, you gain a lot of power spikes from these early talents very early on, and it's shocking because a lot of the talents that us in-game players, us returning Mistweavers are used to, were actually kind of underwhelming, and I'll get to that. But some of these early game kind of sleeper talents, ones that we don't really think about as being broken at the end game, feel very powerful and scale very hard in the early game. And the first one that I want to talk about is Invigorating Mist. This is what fuels us in raid in the end game, but just having a renewing mist on 1 or 2 DPS and then vivifying like your tank in a dungeon is absolutely disgusting early on. You just top up 3 players with 1 button press. It's absolutely sick. Such a strong talent in the early game, and you'll feel it pack a punch. Also, Essence Font, a sleeper talent for me. We meme on this button in the end game all day long because it just is not powerful in the end game. But right once you unlock it in the early game, this thing can top up all 5 players in a dungeon very quickly. And then once again, right below Essence Font is Life Cocoon. Life Cocoon is such a strong like safety button for questing. You can just keep yourself alive when you do a big pool and accidentally, pull too much that you can't handle. You just put a life cocoon on yourself, you're safe until those stuff start dying, or until your tinker sockets start coming into play and start killing things for you. Or in dungeons, it's just good to help your tank do bigger pools to get those over with quicker. So life cocoon, a very big early game power spike. And then finally, I want to talk about Mana Tea. Mana Tea, I'm pretty sure how it works is it's a flat restoration of 3,000 mana, which while your mana pool is very low, every stack that you consume just pops off. And I may be wrong, I haven't really looked at it while I was level 10. All I know is that by drinking like 1 or 2 stacks of this, my mana bar shot to full as soon as I got it. This talent is disgusting. You have infinite mana as a healer, which is just amazing. It makes the play style or the playthrough of leveling your healer very nice because you don't have to stop and like find food in your bags. You just drink Mana Tea between a couple pools, you're full mana, you go from 0 to full easily, super strong. So with all of these power spikes, I want to kind of talk about, I want to segue into what I advise that you do, how you level your monk or your Mistweaver monk. I strongly advise that since a lot of these talents are very strong in Mythic Plus specifically, or not Mythic Plus, I'm sorry, in Dungeons specifically, I highly advise that you level your first few levels through dungeoning and utilize these power spikes to make this leveling very quickly until you start to get to some of these mid-level talents, and you'll notice that a lot of these early game like Invigorating Mist and Essence Font will really start to fall off in dungeons. So utilize their power in the early levels until they start to fall off, and then you can swap over to questing. And I say questing very loosely. You don't have to run around and do quests. You don't have to. But once you start to notice that Invigorating Mist in particular and Essence Font really start falling off in how much they're healing in dungeons, then I advise that you start questing. And my personal opinion in how you should quest is look through all of the zones. So go on the map and look through all of the zones and just type in their name in the achievements and see what reward they give you. So here I typed in Chin because the two achievements that I personally hunted for or did the questing for were the ones that gave me the Chin Storm Stout hat. I mean, look how sick this looks. It's Chin Storm Stout's hat, and then his backpack. Dude, that's sick. Now I can just like RP, which I never do, but I can RP as Chin Storm Stout. It's really sick. So I would recommend typing in Chin and pressing search, and then you'll see that all you have to do is the Kunlai Summit quests or achievement, and then the Crossarong Wilds. I'm butchering that pronunciation, but Crossarong Wilds gives you the keg, the backpack. I would recommend doing those questings at the mid game. Once again, once these talents start to fall off, so that way you'll start to see all of these levels where even Chi-Ji felt unimpactful through leveling. You press it and you can't really stack it up quickly. Same with Yu'lon. Your haste is just so low that you can't really spit out Enveloping Mist without using like a Thunder Focus Tea. It just felt really underwhelming, these buttons, all of these midsection talents, even over here. So just as I advised you to do dungeons for the early levels, utilizing all of these very strong talents like Invigorating Mist, Improved Vivify, Vivacious Vivification, I advise that once those fall off, once again, you swap to questing to utilize, actually there are a lot of very strong power spiky talents on the Monk talent tree for questing in particular, because this talent tree gives us a lot of mobility, like Tiger's Lust. You can cap out or max out how many roll charges you have with improved roll and celerity, so you can have a bunch of roll charges. Combine that with your cogwheel socket, the socket that you put in your feet, that gives you another mobility button, and you're just zooming around questing so fast with dragon riding, you get those middle levels over with very quickly. Also, some very strong talents to look out for that don't really come to mind to us returning Mistweavers, but they come to mind after you've leveled 10 to 70 in MoP Remix. Our Tiger Tail Sweep is very good for questing because you can just control mobs, and once things start to beat you up and you're out of your panic buttons like Life Cocoon and your Expel Harm, which we'll get to, it's really nice to just stun and then make sure that you have your stun up again for the next pull. Have it up for every giant pull that you do while questing. Also, the Expel Harm talents. Anytime that you can get your hands on one of these talents, it is excellent. Of course, I say that as I don't have one of them taken, but Expel Harm is filthy while leveling. The combination of Expel Harm, Life Cocoon, and an instant Vivify, you are unkillable as a Mistweaver Monk. You can pull 20 mobs at a time, spinning Crane Kick, and just stay alive with those 3 buttons and roll around if they start to overwhelm you, stun them if they start to overwhelm you. You are fine. You are like broken. But once you've worked your way through all of these midsection talents that aren't very, powerful in dungeons, but very good for questing, then you can work your way back into dungeons. I know I can only quest for so long before my ADHD brain kind of brings me back to doing dungeons while leveling a character, but that works perfectly here for Mistweaver because a lot more power spikes lie in the bottom of this talent tree. Most notably, Jadefire Stomp. Even without these talents, Jadefire Stomp, you shoot it, it does so much damage and healing. It can like half health your allies in dungeons. It's actually insane. So Jadefire Stomp is a huge power spike that you hit pretty early on once you come out of that questing phase, if you take my advice. And then after a few more levels, you get down to Awaken Jadefire. Yes, Ancient Concordance is nice, but Awaken Jadefire is insane in dungeons. You just get to Awaken Jadefire, or you get to Jade Fire Stomp and then just spinning Crane Kick, and it does all the healing for you. You're already incentivized to just spam spinning Crane Kick because of how much damage you do thanks to like weird scaling. But yeah, you're just doing all the healing. You're doing so much damage, and none of your teammates are flaming you because they're fully topped up and you're doing big damage and kind of carrying. And then beyond that, there are some more disappointing talents that, once again, to us returning Mistweavers, don't come to mind when you think of disappointing talents. Shayloon's Gift. It's so insane late game because you can fully top up all 5 people in a party, in a dungeon. But in MoP Remix, once again, it kind of goes along with why I think Rapid Diffusion is a little underwhelming in MoP Remix. It's because you just don't have enough haste. And it makes these very clunky talents that are normally very good and can get high value in the end game, it makes them very weak, because by the time your Shayloon's Gift finishes casting, unless you have a lot of haste sockets, your party is just topped up. I don't even have any stacks for it, but it's such a slow cast, and in the world of MoP Remix, your DPS can just top themselves up, or they always have something shielding them, like some kind of Tinker socket to shield them and just top them up, and it makes these kind of obsolete. So I took them because I'm used to them, and none of these other talents really entice me. However, it just I ended up literally never pressing Shayloon's Gift, even in 5-man content while leveling. Now, I want to take this time to kind of mention rating. I did do some raiding, but it's such a meme because one person can carry the whole raid. So I'm not really going to touch on raiding that much unless you guys want me to, or if you want to hit me up in Discord, I'll definitely talk about what I think about some of the talents in raiding, what some of the builds were that I used. But for the most part, I didn't really use it to level, so I want to kind of keep this video short and concise and talk about the things that I did get a lot of practice with. And then finally, some of these talents on this side of the tree, some of these power spikes, really all there is the ones that make you tanky. So Generous Pour, and once again Strength of Spirit, which for some reason I don't have taken, but then the ones that do damage. Resonant Fist is pretty nice, but honestly, Summon My Tiger Statue didn't really do much because these talents honestly get out damaged by your Tinker sockets so easily. So all of this is kind of negligible. And one very strong talent that I'm not blocking, luckily, but it's Yulon's Grace. It's very good. You just, while you're fighting mobs, you just get a rolling shield every 2 seconds. So it just basically absorbs some of the hits that some of the mobs are doing, just further extending how big the pools you can do are, without putting yourself in more danger. But other than that, there's nothing really exciting other than, once again, the mobility talents on this tree. Now, as far as gems go, you're really at the mercy of RNG for what the game decides to give you at any given level, but I'm going to talk through some of the ones that were standout performers for me, and then just general advice to pick. Like, if you have like a decision between 2 gems that you get, 2 Tinker gems that you get, just which one to pick, or maybe even some of the cogwheel gems, or I guess the meta gems too. But let's start with meta gems. Now, these are ones that give you basically a whole ability to add on. And as much as I want to say that taking Chi-Ji the Red Crane, which basically turns you into Chi-Ji, as much as I want to say this is good, it's fine for questing because it's basically like another mobility option. You can kind of zoom between quests and just be very speedy that way. But in terms of damage, it's a little lackluster since you're not spinning crane kicking while you're Chi-Ji. And yeah, the damage that it does doesn't add up to another meta gem plus your damage. So I would probably avoid Chi-Ji unless you just want to feel thematic like I did. It's a good time. It's fun. You're Chi-Ji. You become him. It's pretty cool. However, the ones that were very big standouts while leveling were Life Storm. It just does big AoE damage, can help you clear content quicker. And for the same reason, Oblivion Spear, but to a lesser extent, if I'm being honest. These 2 were the big standouts. I didn't really test out any of these, but if you have one that you think is very good for questing or dungeons, let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite meta socket was. And for cogwheel sockets, the blue ones that you put in your shoes that are basically, for the most part, mobility options, no, I did not go roll. I don't even know how it would work, giving you extra charges, or would it just override the other one? I actually preferred Blink. Now, for a while, I was going Sprint, which was a great option, and for a similar reason, Soul Shape, because they just allow you to get from packs quicker, like very quickly. Like if you do one big pull in a dungeon and then you sprint to the end of the dungeon, sprint's excellent for that. However, a very general use case was a short cooldown mobility option, which was Blink. It was perfect because I could roll, 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 Tiger's Lust, and then Blink, and then roll, roll, Tiger's Lust, Blink. You know, it was very nice. It was a good cycle between pools. So I preferred Blink, but honestly, as a monk, you're so mobile that anything is good. Like Heroic Leap would be good. Any of these would be good. There's no wrong option with cogwheel. Maybe there is. I don't know. But I tested a few and I liked them all. I think Leap of Faith would be pretty fun. You basically get grip, or Vanish could be good for questing. But yeah, for the most part, I just stuck with Blink and I liked it. Now, the fun part is your Tinker sockets, your Tinker gems. I think a very general direction to go in as a Mistweaver is you want to supplement the fact that you're a healer by taking a lot of ones that make you tanky and give you damage, because that'll make you clear content quicker and make you level quicker. So the ones that I prioritized were the ones that did a bunch of damage. Just whichever ones were doing the most damage, I kept those on and stuck with those. I found some cool combos too that I liked with all the Tinker gems. But then also, since I'm more practiced with these buttons, I didn't feel the need for ones that made me tanky. However, if you're looking for ones to help you stay alive because you might have a little trouble doing those big pulls, take the ones that give you shields. Anything that gives you shield is most likely a good option. But sadly, the Tinker gem that I was most excited to play around with, because I love melees, like I love auto attacks. For some reason, it just scratches an itch in my brain, was this one, Quick Strike. However, it was so underwhelming because I never saw it proc. I have no idea if any of our abilities even proc this, or if it's bugged, or if it was just bugged while I was using it, or if I was just not catching it. Maybe it just doesn't show on the screen. This just did not, it didn't excite me as much as I thought it would. But let's talk about the ones that did excite me. And number one, the best Tinker socket or Tinker gem that I found was Victory Fire. Victory Fire is the one that looks like a little fox, and it says that whenever you slay an enemy, it causes that enemy to erupt, which is really cool because whenever you're questing and you're fighting multiple enemies, you know how sometimes you want to kill them evenly just to kind of not waste your time and not kill one very quickly and then have to kill the other one in the same amount of time. You just want to kill them evenly. Victory Fire kind of does that. You get to use all of your damage buttons, like all of your Rising Sun kicks, on the lowest health target, and then it'll just chain react and kill everything around it. It's very nice. Also, Meteor Storm, Lightning Rod are okay options. They did fine damage. But another very solid one that I feel like I'm the only person that uses this. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Let me find it in my sockets. But that is Windweaver, which is kind of thematic, but it just gives you movement speed, which I've harped on in this video. But it also gives you immunity to fall damage, which is really cool when dragon riding, because we can ride over here to this thing, this rock, and then very quickly unmount and start spinning crank kicking and take no damage. Very cool for questing. But then apart from that, I would say the other two, which I think are getting nerfed this next reset, but still are very good, was Slay, which also kind of helps you execute that first target to start that chain reaction. Works very well with the Fox one. And then Fervor just adds up to a ton of damage while questing and in dungeons, because you're basically always at 80% health, especially once you unlock Awakened Jadefire. Those were some of the better ones. And then if I haven't mentioned it, Explosive Barrage also adds up to a lot of damage. We can look at my damage. I think this is because I have someone helping me out during questing. But for the most part, Victory Fire does a ton of damage. And then from there, Spinning Crank Kick, Fervor, Slay. And then Sunstrider's Flourish, which this one I think is pretty RNG. Yeah, it has to deal with your crit, and then some of these other RNG ones, some pools they'll be really solid, like Wildfire, and some pools they will not be very good. But yeah, that is my breakdown of the Tinker gems. However, once again, I did not use as many shield gems as I would probably recommend that you guys do, or any self-healing ones to kind of help you get through the content, just because I am familiar with this class and the spec, and I feel as if some of you guys that are watching won't be, and you're looking for advice, I would definitely recommend playing the safer option, getting rid of some of these smaller damage ones, and just take these big damage ones and some self-sustain ones. But then also I want to take this time to say that I did not test every Tinker gem Unfortunately, I just did not have enough time, and I'm still playing through on my Demon Hunter, testing all the ones that I wasn't able to test on my Mistweaver. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. I just want to make this one to kind of show you guys, hey, if you aren't aware, you can get Chin's Storm Stouts, like, armor, you can get his appearance, and leveling a Mistweaver Monk is quick, fun, and very immersive, and I highly recommend that you do it. If you're on the fence, maybe you already have a monk level 70 and you don't want to really have a second one level 70, just do it. It's a good time. Trust me, it'll put you in a good mental state. And yeah, hopefully these tips and tricks helped you do it quicker, and my path of leveling to 70 guides you through the quickest way possible. But guys, if you've made it this far in this video and are about to jump into this content yourself, or maybe we're just looking for my thoughts and opinions on doing so, consider taking a second to like this video. I'm still a very small content creator, and every like, every share, every subscription really impacts my channel and pushes me closer to living my dream of being a full-time content creator. So thank you so much if you took the time to do that, and if not, but it is free to do so. However, if you have done that and want to support the channel even further, then check out the Patreon link down in the description below. These guys on the screen have, and they are absolutely the #1 reason why I'm still able to make YouTube videos for this channel. So thank you so much to these guys. If your name is on the screen, you are the reason I am still here making videos. And if you want to join these guys on the screen, once again, check out that Patreon link down in the description. There are a ton of different tiers to see if one is the right fit for you. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Once again, my name's ElbaNinja7. Thank you so much for the support and watching this video all the way through. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, also, before I let you guys go, if you're still on the fence of even participating in MoP Remix, check out this. You get the Essence of Yulon, Kindness of Chi-Ji, and then also the other two Celestials for the other two specs. But it's a toy that you use, and then for 8 hours, you'll just randomly get a proc of like Chi-Ji's wings. It's sick, and it looks really cool with Chi-Ji or Chin's weaponry or gear or whatever. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to include that because it's sick. It's awesome. It's a sick toy. It's my favorite toy now. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.